So we have this basic idea, Gina, that the peace is always there. You know, they're making peace in the Middle East, but the peace is always here. It's when we go to Faradis, it's when we pass a Palestinian on the street, there's peace. You know, the politicians decided there's no peace, but actually there is always peace here, except for when, and now and again, there's some explosions. Disruptions of the peace.
Right.
You know, if a drunken guy goes and curses everybody in the street in England, they say he's disturbing the peace.
Or in Ethiopia.
But here, the peace is disturbing the war.
That's for all the Dutch people who are afraid to come here.
So, what is it? What's going on inside us with peace? This is really the question, which brings it back to the meditation of this morning. Because the peace is always there. The peace is where we put our eyes. The peace is when we look at a conflict. We're seeing a conflict, but it's supported, the seeing of the conflict, by the underground of peace. There's peace and there's a conflict happening. So, what's kind of clear is that whenever we come into the now, the here and the now, the first thing we meet is a kind of this backdrop of peace, or this underground of peace. You know, if you're in the middle of an argument, and then you come into the now, there's a peace there. So something's happening with consciousness, where consciousness is investing. If consciousness is investing in the argument, this becomes much more a main thing, and the peace becomes much more invisible, much less present. You know, we come into the now and we're in the middle of an argument. And then we can, from this position of the now, not in the argument, and from which is a peaceful position, then say, okay, but I'm right about da-da-da-da-da, and with this we're making an investment in the movement, in the action. And the thing about the now is that it's not a space we come into, it's always now. Every moment is now. But the now has content. So, in a way, a moment of coming into the now will give birth, by itself, it will cause, its effect will be another moment of coming into the now. And another one, and another one. A moment of pain, which is behind every conflict, will give birth to another moment of pain, and another moment of pain. And this kind of plays out by itself. But in that same moment where we come into the now and we have a bit more conscious space, we can choose to put our consciousness towards, or our perception towards the peace, which will birth another moment with more peace in it, and another moment with more peace in it. Or another moment of pure presence, which will lead to the next moment of pure presence. They're kind of like cells. Moments give birth to moments. So something in us needs to be free enough to choose. Something is free enough to choose where to invest our attention. Now, there's a lot of fear and habit around this in terms of looking at peace. It says a lot about the psychology of peace, because there's a kind of fear that if we invest in the peace, okay, so there's a terror thing happening in the neighboring town, and we put our consciousness in the peace. This means this will make us into vegetables. This will make us into lambs to the slaughter, into fools, into suckers. But this is a kind of belief about the nature of peace. What it actually does, if you put your attention towards the peace itself can allow the conflict at the same time, with a spaciousness, which means that it's possible then to completely move into the conflict if that's what's needed, and out of it again. You can't really fight a war, and this is kind of Chinese warfare, from the position of within the war. You'll never win like that. You see it with the children, one hits the other one hits back, and this one hits back, and it's because, and there's no freedom for them in any of it. The one that stands out of it for a second and gets the toy while the others are fighting, this is the smart one. He has the overview, or the underground. He's standing somewhere in a place of strength. So, I think it was Gandhi who said that peace is our greatest weapon. It's our greatest strength. And there's a lot of truth in that. But he was really talking about the conscious investment in peace, or the conscious disinvestment from conflict. because from this position you really know how to begin to reorganize, to do what you're able to do, not to be reacting, but to be moving from a basis of strength in a way which is most organized to your best interest, which is at the bottom line will be the best interests of the other. Nelson Mandela the same. First thing he did was set up really stand for the mixed football team, sports. A place where the boycott hit South Africa the most strongly, he stood on the cooperation. He couldn't have done this, and this brought the revolution in South Africa in a way, the peaceful revolution. He couldn't have done this if he'd been in a reaction about what they did and he did and they did and he did. He had to step back from the whole conflict. One of the greatest conflicts that we tend to be in is a conflict between our heads and our hearts. Between our minds and what we should, what we think, what we want, what we're allowed, and our instincts and our feelings of what's really needed, what's really true to us. This conflict between what we feel, what we're attracted towards, and what the codes that we feel we should obey according to our belief systems or according to the contracts or what people are holding us obliged to. This conflict can go on for lifetimes. And it leads to places of self-betrayal, in a way. Ultimately, it's self-betrayal. Because you betray what you genuinely is your strength and your attraction, and give it away because of thought forms, structures, mental codes, obligations which are really kind of much thinner illusions. And then in the betrayal, often sometimes it's a betrayal of the contract as well. But in this whole mess, we tend to go to war with ourselves and with others. If we're able to step into peace in any moment and allow the peace to be also there in any such conflict, then what can happen is that the looser side, which is the beliefs and the mental stories, begins to organize itself according to the truth of the attraction, the truth of what's needed, of what's wanted. And if fear isn't allowed to play out because there's a background of peace, it tends to take a human form, which is much less destructive. You're able to say what you want, you're able to say what you need. You're able to find a middle way. You're able to also feel and hear the needs of the other because you don't feel your needs are unheard.
And what is it that helps us come into that place?
Being able to step back from the conflict itself into a background of peace. Even if it's just for 5 minutes, to look from behind and to say, okay, my feelings are going this way and my thoughts are going this way. So what's real, and to from that position, to look, either to follow the thoughts back, what's it defending, because normally thoughts are defending, which normally means there's a war. What's it trying to protect? And for this there's a letting go, because then it will tell its story. Let it go and it tells its story more to the point. That's like psychological therapy of yourself with your life. But also to feel the feelings. What's the real need here? You know, I really, really, really want to go to the market today. Okay, so, but if I'm not allowed to go there today because it's a Saturday, I'm not allowed to drive and I have to be with my mother. So what's behind this need to go? Why do I really want this? What's happening? And it will begin to open in a way which might come down to just, it might come, because Shmulik might be at the market and I want to see him. And I want to hunt Shmulik. And behind that it could be because I'm lonely. And then what could become clear is that we're fighting off the people who are next to us because we're lonely, because we want to go to the market, and all we need to say is to the people around us, I'm feeling so lonely in general. And solutions begin to come forward. So let's all go to the market. I don't mind if you go for an hour, I'll drive you there. Rather than the classic state of conflict. I'm talking basically about family situations where there's a kind of rift of communication that opens up because of our own inner discoordination or lack of space. And space is allowed by peace. Peace doesn't need stuff, it just is. So when we move into consciously letting ourselves invest in the peace, it's not like the noise goes away, it's just that we're standing in a space beyond the noise where the noise can be, it's just noise. And the content of the noise, we can listen to it. Or not. or ask it, dialogue with it, inquire into it. So that's a kind of a spieling between the micro inside our own universes to the macro Nelson Mandela land, but it's the same principle. It's really, really, really a position of greater strength to allow peace. And it costs us nothing. Not in time, not in space. To take 2 minutes and to move into peace and let the peace also be there. When we're in pain, when we're upset, let the peace also be there. Sometimes, we can be really, really, really hurt, like socially shamed in a group. Yes. If you just take 2 seconds, let the peace be there. Look around at the other people. Does anybody actually give a toss that you're hurt? No. So the only one who gives a toss is me. So do I really care? No. Because I would care because they might think badly of me. But if they didn't even notice and don't care, then why am I caring? So let it go, there's instant peace. For example, to create that space out of the person and his imagined survival threat, that the person might die, to be able to stand behind it and say that, okay, I'm taking care of this person, but at the end of the day, let's really take care of this person, what's in their best interests. It's not who I am, it's just a person. So, the peace meditation. To start at the ID, go around, really give the blessing of peace. There's a blissfulness in peace which is connected with blessing, and give yourself the blessing of peace, which is like a blessing in a way, it's an invitation to let the peace be there. Move around to the earth, go into the earth, contact the peace of the planet, the peace of the physical dimension of the universe, all the planets. We're just a tiny little speck compared to some of them which are out there. Really relativize it, but allow the physical peace. There's a lot of peace in the physical, also in the body. There's always a place of peace in the physical body. That's another way. If you don't want to go into the earth, go to anywhere in the body where it feels peaceful and comfortable. And really feel the blessing in the flesh, in the blood, in the sense of peacefulness. It will expand just when you allow yourself to feel it. Move up to the first depression point. Really move the consciousness into the first depression point. And get a sense of yourself behind time. Just get a sense of the you-ness of you, the same one behind all the things that happen. The same one that was a child, the same one who was a teenager, the same one who will be old, the same one that will be here tomorrow. Just get a sense of the timeless you. Stand a little bit behind time. The one that's always there, the one that means that time is possible. And from that timelessness, to notice, give attention to the peacefulness which is in that. The peacefulness and strength. And from that timeless position, also, if there's anything which we know has been bothering us for the past few days, or anybody or any situation, to allow that situation to come forward and the peacefulness to also be there. And of course, peace often brings with it a sense of love or kindness or wisdom, and that's nice to allow as well without tripping on it, but to stay in the peace and to watch also the love or also the softness or kindness. Not to entangle with any situation, just really unconditionally let it be from this timeless space. And then to connect to the Bet Knesset of Zichron Yaakov and to let there also be peace with anyone who's other from our world, or with the Palestinians, or with anything which we see as other. Invite the other and let there also be peace there. This will unlock many others, which is good because it means we can expand.